I'll send a link to him. Yeah, he made like 3 broadcasts today.
There we go. Hey guys, hear me out there?
Yeah. Oh wait, hold on! Don't turn it off or anything.
No,
Maybe you can on your old. It's not showing, Scott.
yeah, why not? What is
While I'm
wrong?
watching, it says there it is. I see it.
Oh, you do?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, Diane got to you first. Okay, so
Oh.
we'll just go ahead and get ready to start. I'll try to check. The other one's sitting there waiting for you to get joined. Let me see if I can go in there and tell people to come over there.
Okay. So I got to get off. I got to get off of you here. They're gonna hear you on the microphone.
Yeah, we're going to jump off then.
Okay, bye. Okay, guys. Sorry, we had a little technical difficulties, so I'll just back up a little bit. A lot of racing around here in the Northwest, and one of the things that I want to do is kind of talk about that. You know, we always talk about, oh, we're so busy in the summer, and then people started saying, well, there's a lot of racing in the Northwest in the winter. And I started looking around, and I picked out 13 different racing programs last weekend around the Northwest, and that include Outlaw. I think that was a core up there on the island of Victoria. Of course, you're down here in Washington with Die Hard's program, TRCR, um, Hunter's Raceway, excuse me, that was up there in BC, PDX, and of course HRCR over in Idaho. And that number, believe it or not, and there's some mini Z stuff that's going on, of course, in the Northwest. And that came up to 13 different events last weekend around the Northwest that was either doing dirt off road, indoor, carpet off road, um, some on road, and some oval, and some dirt oval too. So let's start off with Nora. Last Friday, they do their carpet oval program. They had their series number 2, race number 4. You know, they're hovering in the mid 40 for entries to 50 on a weekly basis. So that's good for them. And then on Saturday, and I believe that their on-road program for Nora up there to Skagit, they run like twice a month, like every other weekend, I think. So the same thing, they're running in their mid 40s for entries. And then Creekside, just down in Stanwood, Tyler and Tina Clark, they were somewhere around 123 entries for dirt off road. That's pretty impressive, I would say. And they also did their Toys for Tots last weekend. And I was talking to Tyler earlier. He didn't actually have kind of a value number on it, but it's quite a bit. And they take that up to the Skagit area to help out, families and kids with toys up in the Upper Skagit Valley. So hats off to them for doing that, and anyone that came around and donated toys, or maybe they did a donation. Good for you guys on that. And then also going a little bit south of there, out in the Snoqualmie Valley, Die Hard at the hangar, they had their dirt off-road program going, and they pulled out a little over 100 entries last Saturday. So that's really great to hear that. Going a little south of their TRCR or TCRC, down in Tacoma, Scott Brown's program, they were pulling in on their Friday layout. Looks like uppers at 80, 87 entries. And then their NIS club race, I don't have it for Saturdays, but I have it for Sundays, was 84 entries. So I'm assuming they probably had the same amount on Saturday. And then going a little farther down south to PDX down there for Kevin. His Friday night club race looks like he had like 25 entries for Friday night. That's pretty good. And then B&B, they do carpet on road over there in Spokane. They're in the upper teens, 16, 17 entries. And then on Wednesday, HRCR does a Wednesday carpet off-road program indoor, of course, in Hayden, Idaho. They were around 75 entries. So that's really good for that part of Idaho, and Washington, pulling out of their Spokane area. And then of course up there in BC, just up from us, Outlaw RC 2 weeks ago, I think it was, and for their Conquer the Carpet, They pulled like 220 some odd entries. Really good for those guys up there to do that. They had a new venue that they moved last week at HPD that Chris Mueller put together. Looks like it's more of a permanent setup, at least for the winter time, I believe. It'll be that. And that's carpet, off road, indoor also. And they were in the mid 90s for entries. And then on the island there for Core RC, 40 some entries for them. And then I started to look around of the Mini Z stuff, and Mini Z is starting to grow. I'm not really sure how many Hobbytown had over the last week, but maybe 10 or 15 entries. And then Hunters up there with those guys, they're pulling in about 10 entries on I think like on a Friday evening. So that's a lot of racers around the Northwest that are still putting a controller in their hand and running some type of car, 10th scale, 8th scale. I believe the Mini Z's are 24 scale. So that's just really great that we see all those programs around the Northwest. And then big shout out to our Northwest racer that went down to, what are we calling that? The U.S. Open down there for Tim Line putting that on. AJ Rodriguez is down there representing. He just got joined up, of course, with AE here this since sometime in the middle of summer, and big shout out to them and good luck to them and everyone that's down there supporting that program. That's really great. So a couple things that happened with us in the last week, as far as the NCT goes, is we had our what we call our winter meeting. And a couple weeks before that, I start reaching out pretty steadily about what do you guys want for dates and things that we would change or add for the year. And so what we've got this year for them, let me transition that over. So here's our schedule for the 2026 year, and there'll be more that will be added onto that. But we'll start off with in Pasco for the Columbia Cup in April 17th through 19th. Then, of course, we'll go to Spokane Memorial Weekend, Hank Perry 240. That's May 22nd through 24th. The 25th is Memorial Weekend. So hopefully a lot of people will be able to come out that and enjoy that for camping, get their summer started off right. And then we're traveling a little farther south this year to Eagle Hill, Idaho, thanks to Tim and the boys down there. That's going to be June 12th through 14th at Eagles RC Firecracker Fury. That they are really fired up about that and glad to have them on board. If you look at our schedule, we have we're calling a top secret race. We do have the dates, July 17th through 19th, and that will be coming out hopefully shortly. Just some things we have to work out with that, but that should be a great event also. And then in August, Walla Walla Showdown at the X, August 21st through 23rd. Great place to have an event. They've been doing this a long time. They've actually formed a new club this year in their group. So Chad Dodd and Ted Rystrom and Nels Francello, they're the actual board members, but they're fired up and they're going to be building their program back up. So reach out to them. They're going to have a regular racing schedule soon out, and they're going to try to do some weekly club racing, I believe. And then right when they get going in the spring, they're going to do stuff on Sundays, I believe, too. So reach out to them when we start to see some stuff, and I'll put some stuff on here for flyers as soon as we get that going. Then we end up at the finals this year in September in Post Falls, Idaho at Monday's Raceway for the State Line Shootout. Great to have Rob in the program. It's a private track, and he puts a lot of time and effort into his race that he's going to have. And it might be the only thing he has this year, but we know what that track will support, and we're hoping that's going to be a big event. And then of course, the Can-Am race next year for 2026. Looks like it's going to be in October. We're moving it to October, working around some other schedules. And we want to make sure that we have some time before and some time after. So the week before Halloween up there in Linden, Washington, October 23rd through 25th will be the Can-Am Northwest Nationals this year. So that's going to be a great event, of course, with all the other ones. So next week it's looking like HRCR this Saturday is going to have a carpet off roads. If you guys are up that way, go check them out. Die Hard Fairgrounds was going to be their race number 2, I believe. It's been canceled because of all the flooding and some emergency relief area for probably taking care of people. We definitely know for animals, but I'm glad we have that facility in the Northwest to help out with these type of disasters. So their off-road program will not be running this Saturday. Nora up there in Skagit. I was actually that's kind of where I work in that area, and I've been in contact with Nick and Mike Yates and driving around there the last couple of days, and their program for the Skagit Fairgrounds for this weekend is actually on hold. Their program was going to be the Northwest Carpet Oval Nationals, and tonight actually was going to be practice. I think tomorrow is going to be some practice and some seeding, and then I believe qualifying Saturday and mains on Sunday. But for right now, they're on hold for that. So if we know any more, I'm sure their Facebook page will get that announced for everybody that wants to go check them out, or they're trying to figure out what they're going to do for the racing this weekend. Well, hopefully that'll happen. TRCR down in Tacoma. They looks like they do a split series. So 6 classes Saturday, 7 on Sunday. Then it looks like on PDX on Friday they have a club race. And then it looks like next Wednesday they have a club race of I don't remember the name of that club race on Saturday, but or excuse me, next Wednesday, but they'll be doing something like that. And then of course over there in Idaho, HRCR on Wednesday they do a carpet off-road series that they'll be running too. So a lot going on in the Northwest. Didn't want to do a call in this weekend with everything that's going on up here with the flooding and a lot of things. So didn't want to take too much time with that. And of course, there's people that are down there in at the U.S. Open. So make sure those guys are concentrating on that. So I don't have my chat opened up. But if anybody has anything going on with that, we can probably take some questions. I'm not really seeing. Oh, here we go. Maybe it's right here. Okay, so comments right here. Hold on a second here. We'll get that going. Get that fired up. And yeah. Oop. So anyway, that's kind of just what's been going on. We have, I believe, 13 classes in our NCT schedule this year, which is on that flyer. Sportsman Nitro Buggy has been talked about this year, so that was definitely an ad for that. And then we brought in novice for the series this year. We haven't done that in the past, so we'll see if that will go over good with people in traveling in the novice program, because we all know that the NCT is the only series that we know anywhere that if you're a champion, series champion for the prior year, the next year you show up for that class, your entry is paid at every event throughout the season to protect that championship. Now, sportsmen, if you win a series championship, we ask you to move up, and we're assuming that you're going to move up to another 8 scale program, probably open buggy, and that one would be a comped entry for you at every event that next year. Novice, kind of the same thing. We just kind of want you to pick one if it's going to go into short course or whatever, and then the one that you will pick for the next year, that's the entry that you'll get comp. So we have definitely have a few months before we get going, but it gives people to a chance to figure out what they're doing next year and understand that you guys are racing for a championship, which the next year, racing fees are a cost for everybody, and something that we need to maintain, and we're trying to keep those as low as possible and still be able to operate, of course. And the NCT this year is on its 23rd year. So we've been doing this a long time, had a lot of different presidents and board members, and we're gonna do our best to keep this series going. And I think the board members that we have right now are all for that. There was a change in our secretary this year. My wife Kendall was doing it for the last year or so, and we all talked about as board members. And Brooke Chu actually stepped up, and so Brooke Chu is our newest board member for the secretary, and of course Jamie Nash for treasurer. And then I'm staying on, of course, for president. So I think that's kind of it, you guys. Want to keep improving on this, kind of give updates of what we have going, and talk about racing in the Northwest. And maybe next week we'll have definitely talk about maybe an update from the U.S. Open down there, and we'll just see where that goes. So hey, everybody, be safe out there this week. If you're racing, good luck. If you were part of one of those racing programs that couldn't run, hopefully that gets rescheduled, and everybody gets their racing going on. And we hope to see everybody in the near future. And hey, click like and subscribe to this channel. We're trying to grow it as much as we can, and give us some content. You guys want to talk about or and see something that I talk about, or bring on a guest, or we go and test something, or excuse me, or whatever that is. Let's get this out there. I have a lot of ideas, but if they're not what you guys want to watch, then I'm not going to do them. So I appreciate everything that you guys talk about behind the scenes and support what we're doing. And we will see you guys next week. And that's kind of where we are. So thanks, guys. We'll see you.